Planning Foundation workshop. In this particular video, I will be talking about modeling your supply chain. Okay, so what are the different topics? So after completing this particular session, you should be able to understand the different elements of your supply network, and I will also explain sourcing rules, bill of distributions, and assignment set, and some of the other configurations. Right. So the first topic is a supply network model. So the supply network model includes the major components of your supply chain. Okay, so what are these major components? Your suppliers, then your manufacturing organizations, your contract manufacturers, your distribution centers, both your central and regional distribution centers, as well as your customers. So these are all the different elements of your supply chain. Okay, so in Planning Central, we have seen the collections process where you will be collecting information, right? So how to view this particular information related to your customers, your suppliers, your organizations? So Planning Center provides you a single page or user interface, that is a UI. So I'm going to navigate to that particular UI. So I'm in the application, the release 13 application. In the home screen, clicked on supply chain planning. I'm going into plan inputs. Okay, expand the taskbar, and you have under plan input section, you have maintain supply network model. So click on maintain supply network model. So the maintain supply network model display the information related to all the important nodes of your supply network. Okay, nothing but your suppliers, your organizations, and your customers, as well as interlocation shipping networks, right? So this particular screen will display all the organization information that is collected as part of your collection process, the supplier information, your shipping network information. Okay, so the customers are defined within CRM as part of trading community architecture. So whenever the customers are defined, they're automatically available within Planning Central, okay, via a view based approach. So there is no need to explicitly collect customers, okay, to view that particular data within Planning Central. Okay, so if I do a blank search, so I have search criteria against all these different objects. Okay, I did a blank search, and you can see these are all the different organizations that are collected. Okay, and the organizations and what is the respective source system and some of the parameters. Okay, so this is the organization tab. Similarly, if you go to the customer tab, okay, I do a blank search over here. So it displays all the customers, the customer number, the different site addresses of the customer, and other details. I won't be able to modify anything over here, but at the customer level, but I can add certain notes. The only thing that is editable is adding notes to a particular record. Okay, so these are all the customers that are available, okay, from your trading community architecture. Similarly, suppliers, if you want to see the suppliers that are available, so these are the different suppliers that are collected. The carriers, so all the different carriers, okay, that are defined in the system, collected as part of your collections, and your interlocation shipping networks. Okay, shipping networks are nothing but what is the transit time when you transfer the material from one location to another location. So all those elements are collected as part of collection process, right? Now the customers organizations are defined as part of your manufacturing cloud. Customers are defined within your trading community architecture. Suppliers are defined within your procurement cloud. Okay, your prospective suppliers, spend authorized suppliers, right? So if you have attended our procurement sessions, there we have dedicated sessions on suppliers, how to create your supplier, how to register your suppliers, so all those functionalities. And the carriers and interlocation shipping networks are part of your inventory cloud, right? So well, I think organizations are already covered where you create the organizations. Let's quickly go to yeah, setup and maintenance, and I'll show you some of the configurations like how where you create your carriers and your shipping networks, right? So I go to navigator, Okay, I clicked on the setup and maintenance, that is functional setup manager FSM, and I go to manufacturing and supply chain management. Okay, this is the offering. So here I can go for a blank search like manage carriers. Okay, so click on manage carriers. So this is the task available within carriers and transit time functional area. Click on manage carriers. So you can define your carriers over here. Okay, specify the carrier name, what are the shipping method, and what are the organizations associated with that particular carrier. So this is how you define your carriers. I'm not going to create a carrier. I just showed you where to create a carrier. So we're just reviewing some of the configurations. For example, DHL, right? So you can specify a carrier name, whether it is active or not, the shipping methods, or what is the service level, door-to-door delivery, next day delivery, what is the mode of transport, whether this is active or not, and what are the associated organizations. Similarly, you can have certain contacts associated and tracking rules associated with a particular carrier. Okay, so this is how or where you create a carrier. Similarly, once you define your carriers, you can also go to manage transit times setup, and you can also define the transit times between different locations. It can be an internal location or an external location, or if you have defined geographies and zones. Okay, then moving of material from one geography to another geography, or from one zone to another geography, or one zone to another zone, whatever it might be, you can specify the shipping method as well as the transit time. For example, let me show you some of the transit times that are defined for moving material between internal locations, right? For example, I want to move the material from Chicago to Atlanta. This is the origin and this is the destination. These are all the different shipping methods associated. And with the respect to shipping method, for example, DHL is one of the default shipping method. There, if you click on edit the shipping method, here the transit time is defined. So how much of a transit time it will take whenever a movement of material happens between Chicago and to another internal location. Okay, right? Chicago to Atlanta, right? So this is where you define your carriers and transit times. I'm going back to the same to another tab within the browser. So I'm coming back to the maintain supply network model. So all the carriers that are defined are collected within the carriers tab, and interlocation shipping networks show you the different the shipping networks, like what are the different from location to another location, what is the carrier, what is the mode of transport, what is the transit time. So all information will be collected. So your supply network model is a single UI which provides all the important information related to the different nodes of your supply network. So what are these different nodes? Your suppliers, your customers, your manufacturing facilities, your distribution centers. These are all part of your supply network. Okay. Okay, let's go back to the presentation. So the maintain supply network model that displays the collected data, okay, used by supply chain planning cloud products. Okay, so these are all the different objects or entities that are being displayed in this particular user interface. So how to model your organizations, right? So modeling your organizations means you use your organizations to represent your business facilities or functions, right? So in planning, organizations represent physical facilities. So planning suggests and create transfers between organizations. Planning does not suggest or create transfers between sub-inventories, right? So planning suggestion is only of transferring material between organizations. So you have to model your organizations, okay, based on your requirement. For example, you have a single entity, like a single organization performing different functions, right? So a single physical entity is there. So for example, a facility is a manufacturing plant as well as it is a distribution center. So the same facility is a manufacturing plant and a distribution center. So you model them as two separate organizations, even though they are located in the same physical facility, because they're performing two different functions. One function is a manufacturing plant and the second function is a distribution center. You model those as two separate organizations, right? Also, for example, if you have a same function located in two different physical facilities, there are two different physical facilities performing the same function, then you typically model those as one organization. Okay, so that is how you model your organizations, because planning suggests and create transfers only between your organizations. Okay. So we talked about the organization tab, which lists the organizations from all source systems. We talked about the customers, the suppliers, and we talked about the carriers and the shipping networks, where you define those carriers and shipping networks, and the transit times between different locations, zones, and geographies. Okay, and the supply network model shows all the different nodes. Okay, that are your organizations, your suppliers, customers, and shipping networks, right? So this is about your supply network model. So in the next topic, we will be talking about sourcing rules and assignment sets. So sourcing rules and assignment sets. So before going into the details of sourcing rules and assignment sets, right? Before you generate your production plans, you need to describe how you intend to obtain each of your material items. Okay, for examples, like which suppliers are going to provide each of your purchased items, and which organizations are going to supply your each of your manufacturing items, okay, or manufactured items. So these specifications, like who is going to supply your buy items and who is going to make your manufacturing, that is your make items. So these specifications are called sourcing rules or bill of distributions. Okay, so replenishment sourcing. So by definition, a replenishment source in a supply chain states how you are going to obtain your items. Okay, so there are three different types of sources. The first type is transfer from. Okay, so you purchase the item from another organization in your enterprise. Okay, so that is, organizations use shipping network functionality to accomplish a transfer of the particular item. So you're transferring the material from another organization within your enterprise. So that is the first source. The second source is make it, means you're making or manufacturing the item at your manufacturing facility. And the third source is buy from, means you are procuring the material from an external supplier. So the supplier is outside of your enterprise. So you have three different types of sources. One is transferring the material, transfer from another organization. Another one is making the material, that is make it at your manufacturing facility. The third one is buy from, that is you're going to buy or procure the material from your suppliers. So these are all the three types of sources. Okay, so a complete replenishment sourcing setup includes your sourcing rules, your bill of distributions, and your assignment sets. Okay, so your supply network model. So we have seen the supply network model, which contains all the different elements of your supply network, plus your replenishment sourcing, means how you're going to obtain your material. Okay, is nothing but your supply chain. Okay, so your replenishment sourcing setup includes your sourcing rules, your bill of distributions, and assignment sets. Okay, so the sourcing rules and bill of distributions determine the movement of material between organizations. Okay, so for example, the sourcing rules describe the replenishment policy of an organization, right? How you're going to replenish, okay, whether you're going to transfer from, you're making it, or buy from. So when is the replenishment policy is effective? The effective date of a sourcing rule, right? So let me go into the application and quickly go to the screen of sourcing rules. So expand the taskbar. So click on manage sourcing rules. Okay, You can search for existing sourcing rules, okay, or you can create your sourcing rules. When you create your sourcing rule, let me say test global sourcing rule, right? There are two types of organization assignments. One is a global and local. Whenever you're creating a global sourcing rule, okay, you won't be having the organization field enabled because this is a global sourcing rule, not specific to any organization. You can specify the date effectivity of this particular sourcing rule. So from what date to what date this sourcing rule is effective, okay? And within the sources, you can specify the sources. Now within the sources, you can see there are only two types of sources available. One is transfer from and buy from. Okay, you don't find the third type of source, that is make it, because this is a global sourcing rule, right? So you can simply select from the available two sourcing rules. You can select, for example, if the source type is buy from, I can select what are all the different, what is the supplier. So supplier is lease supplier. Select the supplier site, maybe US, and you can select the rank and allocation percentages. Okay, so you can quickly simply save, right? Now you may be having multiple sources. You can rank each of the sources, right? There may be another source like in the second one is transferred from another organization. Say I'm going to get the material from 001 organization, right? And the allocation percentage is 100 and the rank is 2, right? So the least rank will be given the highest priority, right? So rank 1 sources are considered within Planning Central. Okay, so within a particular rank, you can have sourcing split. So the allocation percentages can be distributed between different sources, okay, within a particular rank. For example, I want to say within rank 1, so only 50% allocation to one supplier. Okay, I want to create another source. Okay, this is also buy from another supplier, say staffing services is another supplier. Select the supplier site and 50% from another supplier. So I can have sourcing split. So within a same rank, okay, all the different sources should add up to 100. Okay, the allocation percentage of all the sources within a particular rank should add up to 100. So to 50%, I will be buying from lease suppliers. Another 50% I'm going to get from staffing suppliers. Okay, so this is about rank and allocation percentages. Now click on save. Similarly, if you go and create a sourcing rule again, or let me click on save and create another. So this is a local sourcing rule. Okay. When I say local sourcing rule, this organization is enabled, then I can specify this sourcing rule is specific to that particular organization, local to that particular organization, right? Again, I can set the effectivity. Now, if you start assigning the sources, you can see the different types of sources. You can transfer from another organization. You can make it a particular manufacturing facility that is local to this particular organization 001 if you want to manufacture at this particular organization. Okay, so you can specify the local sourcing rule. So all three types of sources are available within a local sourcing rule. Okay, you can put a buy from and select the suppliers and all, or you can put a transfer from source. I can select the organization from which you want to transfer the material, right? So this is how you create a local sourcing rule. Now you can also see exclude options and option classes. So this comes in the scenario of CTO planning, configure to order planning. So whenever you're selecting a particular option within an option class, okay, you don't want to consider this particular sourcing rule. So that is exclusion for options and option classes. So whenever a particular option is selected, you don't want to consider this particular sourcing rule. That's how you exclude that sourcing rule for certain options that are selected in a CTO scenario. Okay, so that is used in that particular scenario, right? So let me delete this. So this is how you create your sourcing rules. Okay, save and close. You can simply search your sourcing rules. You can find all the different sourcing rules that are defined in the system. Okay, so what is a bill of distributions? So bill of distributions is a multi-level replenishment, you can say. For example, when material flows, let me see if I have any bill of distributions. No, then we can create one. So let me go back to the presentation here. Okay, so we talked about sourcing rules, then bill of distributions, right? So bill of distributions is when material flows through 3 or more organizations. Okay, so it is easier to define the bill of distributions. Okay, so the bill of distributions describe your supply chain links more effectively than your sourcing rules. Okay, let's say let me go to this particular screen. Right, so when material is flowing to different organizations, means 3 or more organizations, you can define sourcing rules, local sourcing rules at each level. So instead of defining multiple sourcing rules, sourcing rule 1, sourcing rule 2, sourcing rule 3, 4, right, you can create all the particular replenishment sources within a single bill of distribution. So a bill of distribution is nothing but a combination of multiple local sourcing rules, right? So this is more useful when material is flowing through multiple organizations. So if you go back to bill of distributions, for example, let me create a bill of distribution, right? Put the date effectivity, right? So while specifying the date effectivity, you can say the organization itself. So you can specify the organization. So 001 organization, you can see that, for example, this is 001 organization. This particular organization is getting the material from one supplier and one from manufacturing unit. So you can define the sources here, right? So this particular organization is getting from buying from a particular supplier, okay? And so let's say lease suppliers, allocation percentage is 100, rank is 1. Or if you want to split, you can do that, or transfer from another organization, say 003, allocation percentage is 100, rank is 2, right? You can save it. Again, the same destinations, you can define another organization level, like this is 004. For 004, it is transferring the material from 001. Okay, transfer the material from 001. So how this 001 is getting the material? Okay, let me fill in the record first. Allocation percentage 1 and save. Right. When material is flowing through multiple organizations, the entire configurations can be defined in a single UI, that is bill of distribution. So you can specify how the particular organization is getting. 001 is getting from a particular supply, for example 004, whatever organization, right? 001 is getting from it is buying from lease suppliers. Otherwise it is getting the source or the rank 2 source is transferring the material from 003, and 004 is getting from 001. So that's how you can define multiple local sourcing rules in a single bill of distribution. Okay, so this is mostly useful when material is flowing through 3 or more organizations. So there is no great difference between a local sourcing rule and a bill of distribution. A bill of distribution is nothing but a combination of multiple local sourcing rules, right? But in the sourcing rule or bill of distributions, you're nowhere seeing the association of items, right? Then how we are going to associate these items? So for that we have assignment set. Okay, so manage assignment sets. Okay, you can search for different assignment sets available, or you can completely create a new assignment set. right? So you can create a new assignment set, for example. Right? And you start associating your sourcing, okay, rule or bill of distributions to different assignment levels. There are multiple assignment levels available, okay, within the assignment sets area. So within the assignment sets area, you have a different global, category, item, region, category, and region. So different assignment set levels are used in different scenarios. Okay. So in context of planning, we use only specific levels. Okay. We don't use all the different levels. Okay. So the 6 different levels we are using is or are global. So the global assignment level, the organization assignment level, item category, the category level of the items, or specific items, item category, organization combination, item organization combination. Global being the most generic assignment level, okay, and item organization is the most specific or the most granular assignment level. So this specific granular assignment level will be given higher priority. Okay, so the priority increases as you come from the top to bottom, global being the most generic to the most specific, that is item organization. Okay, so the rest of the assignment levels are used in dropship scenario, back to back order scenarios, and all of those scenarios, right? So global, organization, item category, item category, and organization, item organization, right? So if you click on create an assignment set, okay, so you can see the different assignment sets like global, category, item, category and organization, right? And item and organization being the most specific. So depending upon what you are selecting, if you are selecting a category, then the respective column will be enabled. You can select what category of items, like some specific category of items you are associating, whether a sourcing rule or distribution, bill of distribution. Whenever you're selecting a sourcing rule, the list of sourcing rules are available. You can search for the sourcing rule and you can select what is the sourcing rule you're going to associate to this particular category of items. Or you want to associate for a different level, right? Okay, okay. I think let me add, let me come back again. Search. It's not saved somehow. Okay. I added a couple of records and tried to edit at the same time. That is the reason. But anyways, just let me open an existing assignment set, for example. So this is how an assignment sets look like, right? So these are all the different assignment levels. Okay, some of them are at category level, item level, item organization level. Okay, so based on that, you can see the different assignment levels and the different sourcing rules associated to the different levels, the sourcing rule or a bill of distribution, right? Now you also have a sourcing hierarchy, means at a point of time, for example, you want to see like what is the assignment level that is going to be active, okay, or applied. There may be different assignment levels, okay, or sourcing assignments. So which one is going to take precedence, right? We have sourcing hierarchy screen. So if you go to sourcing hierarchy, so within this particular assignment set, for this particular item, for example, in say organization 003, as of today, okay, and if you click on search, what are the different active rules that are available? So there are two rules. One is at item level, the other one is item organization assignment level. Because item organization being the most granular or specific one, it will be given higher importance and it will be applicable. So this rule is going to be applied. Even though both are transferred from 004, they can be different sourcing rules, right? So there might be many sourcing rules or bill of distributions, but whatever might be the granular level, the least granular level, okay, which is active, will be applicable. So just by seeing in this particular screen, you can see which one is getting applied, which sourcing rule is getting called. Okay. You also have edit in spreadsheet capabilities. If you click on edit in spreadsheet, You can download the configuration in a spreadsheet. So this is ADFDI, Application Desktop Integrator. Okay, open the particular spreadsheet. You have to connect to the application. So enable editing. So it will ask you to connect to the application. Click on yes. Use the same login credential. And the password. So it will retrieve the information into the Excel spreadsheet, and you can start editing the information in the spreadsheet itself. Okay. Click on sourcing assignments at the top tab. You want to do a search, click on a blank search. So whatever information you're seeing there, you can see in the spreadsheet, as well as you can start editing them as well. Right. You want to create a new one, you can create or insert a new one, insert a new record, or use these options. Once you these are all again list of values. So whatever list of values you are seeing, all of them will be available. Like what organization, if it is category and organization, select the category, select the organization, associate the different sourcing rules, what sourcing rule you want to assign, or you can search for and add the sourcing rule. Once that is done, you can upload the details back into the system. Okay, so this is how you can use edit in spreadsheet capabilities. So for the spreadsheet to work perfectly on your laptop, you have to download a small extension. Okay, typically that extension is available within your navigator itself. So if you go to navigator, click on more. If the navigator is having a lot of options, you will be seeing more option. Under tools, you have download ADF desktop integrator. It is a small extension. Download this zip file onto your desktop, install it, and once you install it, you should be able to work seamlessly with the spreadsheet integration, right? So this is how you will be editing the details in a Excel spreadsheet. Okay, so we go back to the presentation. So these are the different levels, and the rank 1 sources are the most specific or granular one: item organization, then category organization, then item category organization, and the global one, right? So these are all the different rules you can see, and a couple of examples to describe, okay, which rule will be applied when you have multiple rules. And we also have a sourcing splits. Like in a particular rank, you can split the sources. For example, you can buy from a couple of suppliers, 60% from supplier one, 40% from another supplier. So if you have a specific demand of 100 quantity, 60 will be supplied from supplier one, and the 40 will be supplied from the second supplier. In this example, Acme and Smith. Okay, fine. So coming to the sourcing allocation splits, as you can see, allocation is performed for any supply source within a particular rank, whether it is a buy, make, or transfer. Historical receipts are not considered for sourcing allocation. Existing purchase orders, transfers, and work orders are only considered. And if you have any kind of order modifiers, so order modifiers are the item organization specific attributes. You set up these order modifiers at the item level in a particular organization, then those order modifiers are also considered, okay, along with sourcing allocation. Okay. For example, consider an example saying that there are two suppliers. One is an Acme supplier, and so let's take the earlier example only. So we have a couple of suppliers, Acme supplier and Smith. So Acme supplier 60%, okay, and Smith is 40%. Okay, this is the sourcing split. Okay, in a direct scenario where you have a demand of 100 quantity, Acme suppliers are going to provide you 60 units. Smith suppliers are going to provide you 40 units. Okay, now if you consider a particular order modifier. So order modifier like FLM, fixed lot multiplier, is nothing but an item attribute you set up at the item level within an order of whenever you're configuring your items, right? So if you specify that fixed lot multiplier, let's say FLM is 50, then whenever you're ordering, okay, the ordered quantity has to be a multiple of this particular value. So whenever you're ordering, it has to be a multiple of 50, right? So in such a scenario, okay, how the sourcing splits are going to work. Okay, so this is an example. So for example, there are different days, and day one, the total demand is 100. And there are two suppliers, one is Acme and one is Smith. For Acme, it is 60%, for Smith, it is 40%. Now, when you have a total demand of 100, okay, let's say, means like Acme suppliers provided you 50 quantity because the fixed lot multiplier is 50. 50 is not 50% of 100, okay? 50 is not 50% of 100. So again, another order of 50 quantity for the same supplier, that is Acme, will be created. So the total 100 will be created because the second order is also of quantity 50, because fixed lot multiplier forces you to order with a multiple of that value. So a total supply is generated from Acme. So in that scenario, the cumulative allocated percentage is 100% from Acme. For example, in day 3, you have a total demand of 200, okay, and a total supply from Acme, say 150, because 150 is a multiple of 50, so it is 75%. So the remaining, because it crossed the 60% mark, 50 into 50 into 50, so 350s, that is cumulative of 150 is supplied from Acme. So once it is generated for 150 quantity, it crossed the 60% mark, so it is now 75%. The remaining 50 is ordered from Smith. If you have a quantity total demand of 300, now it will again do a multiple of 50s until it crosses 60%. So 200 is a multiple of 50, where the percentage 200, the percentage of 200 within 300 is 67%. So the remaining 100 is ordered from Smith. Similarly, if the order quantity is 400, 250, which is a multiple of 50, and the percentage of total quantity is 63%, 250 is 63% of 400, then the remaining quantity is ordered from Smith. So you can see the cumulative percentage is greater than 60%. Whatever might be the order total demand, the cumulative allocated percent from Acme is more than 60%. Whatever is remaining is ordered from the other Smith supplier. So this is how sourcing splits along with order modifiers will work in tandem. Okay. So we talked about sourcing rules. We created sourcing rules. We talked about bill of distributions. Okay, multi-level replenishment, that is multi-level local sourcing rules. And we also talked about assignment sets, how we are going to assign the sourcing rules and assignment sets to different items, right? And also we talked about some of the elements of supply network. Okay, this is the summary of this particular session.